very important 3 minutes of Yuri Berezmenov.
Life under communism.
What's the difference between life under communism and life in the United States? This is way back when, 30 years ago interview.
Well, life is obviously very much different for simple reason that the Soviet Union is a state capitalist economically. It's a state capitalism where an individual has absolutely no rights, no value. His life is nothing. It's just like an insect.
His life is nothing like an insect, okay? Does that remind you of how these cops are treating these law-abiding citizens at the Freedom Convoy who are not criminals?
Is disposable.
His life
whereby
is
in the United
disposable.
States, even the worst criminal is treated as a human being. He has a fair trial, and some of them capitalize on their crimes. They publish their memoirs in their prisons and get handsomely paid by your crazy publishers.
Watch very carefully how they treat these people and how they talk to these cops of Canada.
Of course, in the daily life are very various, depending on whom we are talking about. In my own private life, I never suffered from communism simply because I was brought up in a family of high-ranking military officer. Most of the doors were open for me. Most of my expenses were paid by the government, and I never had any troubles with the authorities or with the police. So, in other words, I would say I enjoyed, or I had good reasons to enjoy, all the advantages of so-called socialist system. My main motivations to defect had nothing to do with affluence. It was mainly moral indignation, moral protest, rebellion against the inhuman methods of the Soviet system.
Well, specifically, what did you object to?
I objected, first of all, against oppression of my own dissidents and intellectuals. And that was the most disgusting thing that I witnessed as a young man, young student.
The most
who was brought up
disgusting.
a very troublesome period in our history.
Dissidents and
from Stalin to
intellectuals.
Khrushchev, from total tyranny and oppression to some kind of liberalization. Second, when I started working for the Soviet embassy in India, to my horror, I discovered that we are millions times more oppressive than any colonial or imperialist power in the history of mankind. That my country brings to India not freedom, progress, and friendship between the nations, but racism, exploitation, and slavery, and of course economical inefficiency to this country.
Wow. Wow. So, see, whenever you hear the people always talking about, they say the word, the N-word, the N-word is so bad. That is not a thing. That is nothing. Calling someone a name. There is something far more prescient than that. That these idiots should not be allowed to even, open up their mouth. Somebody should spank them, or just not even they just get rid of this culture of weakness, weak jerks. I just heard some gay guy talking about 90 Day Fiancé, and he was freaking out. Not that a person was a jerk, but that they said the N-word, and they made a big deal out of it. So he's talking about Colorado bugs. This is a subversion of the free world press. Yuri Berezmenov. A very important several minutes there. The whole interview is over an hour, 20 minutes. It's awesome. But what he just said, no rights. They treat you like an insect. Now I want you to watch very carefully how all the Canadian police begin to treat these people, and it's going to be heartbreaking. Brace yourselves.